We're going to begin our talk for this afternoon. I'm going to first introduce myself. I'm Michelle, and I'll be hosting today's event together with Mr. Pramukh and Mr. Amin. Welcome to today's session on enrichment classes, finding the balance. We're very honored to have Miss Yuki with us, and we're having this talk recorded. Okay, we've got another entry now. Yep. Especially since the borders are open and a lot of people are traveling, but you're still here this afternoon. Thank you very much. Okay. To kickstart our event, just a quick note on the meeting etiquette. Please mute your mic, and then if you have any questions, go ahead and type it in the chat box. This is a small group, so we are going to be quite warm to each other. You can just go ahead and type anything you want. Even if you want to raise a question and unmute yourself, go ahead. Let's try to make this as carefree as possible. No tension here, yeah, although we are all wearing coats. Okay, and then at the end of the session, we will also open up for a Q&A session. So first off, we're going to introduce Mr. Amin. Okay, so Mr. Amin, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Avin. I have been in the education field for more than 7 years now, and since young I have been very passionate about outdoor learning and extracurricular activity, and I personally have experienced it firsthand. And coming to Fairview, I've also been able to develop that into that area and that particular development into the students as well. So and I'm also have the opportunity to take lead on the outdoor education department to actually lead students into all sorts of experiential learning activities throughout the last few years. I'm very happy to be able to share my thoughts to today's session. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can hear that Mr. Avin has a husky voice today because he's having a slight cough, but still, thank you very much for being with us today. And these two nice pictures are taken from two of our many expeditions, our international expeditions, one from Xi'an and the other one should be Siem Reap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the expeditions that our students go to, and Mr. Avin is is the organizer for this outdoor education activity. And next off, we have Mr. Pramukh. Okay, Mr. Pramukh, it would be better if you could introduce yourself.
Sure. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah.
So my name is Pramukh. I'm the founding director of FlipEd. But by way of background, let me introduce myself. So I started my career as an investment banker. So from banking, I moved to private equity, venture capital. I also worked in healthcare for strategy and business development. Then I purchased a master franchise called Engineering for Kids. We got the master franchise from Malaysia through my company FlipEd. FlipEd now, currently, we bring immersive STEM learning through digital classes, camps, curricular activities. But what we've now gone and done is we've launched a novel and interactive subscription series of STEM kits that's told in a way of secret missions. And we also have in plans other innovative educational products. All our programs is one singular purpose. We aim to ignite our young learners' interest in STEM and concurrently nurture their critical thinking, creative problem solving, and growing their confidence.
This is a very nice picture that you took over here, Mr. Pramukh, for this profile picture.
those are our subscription boxes. The product's called Agency of Curious Tasks. So it's one secret agency, and you've got missions to solve.
Yep, and for those who are live with us this afternoon, we have a surprise for you from Mr. Pramukh, which he would announce at the end of today's session. So stay tuned until the end, and then we will announce what is the surprise that Mr. Pramukh has in line for our live audience. And of course, the last person who is speaking over here would be myself. I have been in education line for 14 years. 7 years as an operator of an enrichment center, and then another 7 years as an administrator as well as teacher in an international school. So these are some of pictures of myself, and we shall begin today's session on enrichment classes. Today's session is going to be informal, and we will be having sharing from 3 different parties. That would be Mr. Amin as an organizer, an educator, Mr. Pramukh as a parent, as well as an entrepreneur, and myself as a parent and an educator. So the first question to warm up our discussion today is, why are enrichment classes important? So we're going to have Mr. Amin sharing first.
Sorry. All right. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Hi. So the key points as for the reason why enrichment classes are important is because that is something for the students to further develop skills that is something not easily developed in an academic area. So this gives an opportunity for them to explore further and discover and develop their real passion. Sometimes what they have in classroom, it is just not sufficient to cover whatever they need in life. And personally, myself, as me being involved in enrichment classes and conducting enrichment classes, I've seen a tremendous difference in various street skills, in a sense, or living skills that really for them to continue to develop through these enrichment activities. So I believe that as an educator point of view, the opportunity for them to explore and expose themselves to varieties of activity just gives a more platform for them to bring in what might be their calling, in a sense. So I believe that is one of the importance of enrichment classes.
Yeah, and talking about developing their passion, I think this point is very strongly linked to what Mr. Pramukh is about to share as well. Mr. Pramukh?
Yes. So it all starts with understanding that every child, their mind is hungry for information, and they absorb information like a sponge, right? Especially in their early childhood years. And of course, it carries on through to their early teenage life. What they learn during this time of their lives, right, will play a large role in the passions that they develop, to echo Mr. Amin's point, right? So once they develop those passions, they can actually have some direction in terms of the careers they can choose in their future. Now, after-school programs aren't just for occupying your child's time before dinner, though admittedly, they certainly do a great job at keeping them entertained, so we have our own time. But it also turns out that they can actually be rather enriching and a rewarding experience for your child, both now and in the future, provided that you can find the right after-school program.
Exactly, that's why we call it the enrichment classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the last point that I'm about to share is that I feel enrichment classes are a very good avenue as simulation for the real world experience, which the kids will be experiencing when they come out to work. I think everything we can learn by books. Is one thing, but applying it is a different story. So enrichment classes gives a very good platform on top of a school environment where the focus is more on academic delivery and the performance of the kids, which is being assessed through their report cards and so on. But enrichment classes is more like a carefree environment where you work more on the social, the EQ, and giving the students an opportunity to feel what it is like to really work in an environment with different type of people.
True.
Okay, next off. This is a question that many parents have in mind. How do we get our child engaged in the enrichment classes? Yeah, some kids feel that they are being forced to go to enrichment classes. Mr. Amin, how do you get students engaged?
I think that this is a problem for everybody, not just parents' point of view. Even in school, we do have programs that we believe it will work for them, if it's going to help them. But if it doesn't get a buy-in from the child, it's always going to be the impact is just not going to be what we expect. So I feel there's a balance here that we need to find a way to make a deal with the kids in a sense. So when we bring them to camps or expeditions, sometimes they're not willing to try something. And usually what we do is that you try this, then next we try to do something else you want. So I believe as long as we can understand is that their voice is being heard, it becomes a very interesting area. The child will like, okay, I can choose what I want. At the same time, we also implement, indirectly what we believe that's going to help them. So it's not a one-way street. So that's why I feel the balance is the main key here. So try to have a two-way street in the communication with the students, and then that will really help them to be engaged.
What Mr. Amin just shared reminds me of a trip to Siem Reap where, the students were reluctant to climb into the well, to dig the well. Yeah. And we had to tell them that, and they were telling me that, hey, I can just on my tap in my house and have water. Why do I need to crawl into that hole to dig a well? And we told them that, go in, dig just 2 scoops and have a feel, so that you have been to Siem Reap and you have done this, what our ancestors has been doing. So the child went in and he came out really excited. In fact, he wants to go back in again. So I guess, it's true. Balance is the key. We have to find a way to communicate with the kids so that they know that we want you to try, and your voice is also heard. It's not like we're going to ask you to do 100 digs, right? Yeah. How about Mr. Pramukh?
I think it's all interrelated, right? Balance. The other key part would be, as a parent, showing that you're emotionally invested in your child's action. That's how you can get them to be excited about trying something, interested to continue to do it, and so on. So because they're restless and inquisitive nature, right? It's because their brain is developing in such a rapid rate, and it shapes them as a person. So whatever they pick up during these formative years is most likely to stick with them throughout their lives. And it's important to understand, right? At this point, they're very vulnerable to influence. And who better to influence them than the parent, right? And the best way is to explore, let them try different things, and then you show support in your child's development by being emotionally invested in their interests. Show that you're having as much as a blast, whatever they're learning. And learning is a great experience for you as well, because then it reflects on them.
This is so true. I mean, I am a parent of 2. They are 16 and 20 now. I still remember that my kids used to tell me that the only reason they are doing certain things is because they wanted to please me, not because they wanted to do it, especially when they're young, right? Yeah. So being emotionally invested in your child's passion would greatly help them to, support them to try before they say no. And, and who knows, after trying, they might figure out that, hey, this is really something that I really want to do after all. And so then when you ask them to stop and they say, no, I don't want, I want to continue, right? And that brings us to the next point, which is start them young. Because when we were preparing for this talk, we had a discussion on, some parents don't really quite get it, why their kids are so difficult to get them to go to enrichment classes. And they just keep on telling you, no, because they're very engaged with their iPad, or they will tell you that I need to have my personal time, things like that. And I noticed that if we start them young, like when they are 3, 4, or 5 years old, before they actually go into the primary school time schedule, they are more open, because these kids they are naturally curious, like what Mr. Pramukh mentioned just now. And if you start them young, they would want to try everything. They get very excited because you're bringing them out, driving them to the center, picking them up, and they want to try everything. And maybe after 2 years of trying, like 3, 4, 5 years old, and they start school, slowly from there, you can gauge and find out if that is what your kid really want to do, or your kid wants to try something else. But I think starting them young makes a lot of difference, because that's the time where they are not influenced by other technology yet, and they are open to anything that you would want them to try.
Yeah. Can I add to that.
Sure.
It's a personal story. So my daughter is 12 and my son is 5. I've been trying to convince my daughter to go for coding classes because it's basically a language. So just like how we believe Mandarin is an important language, coding is also what we believe is an important language for their future, right? So I tried to convince her, but it's a daily battle. Uphill task because she's already got her friends, so she's got a time that she chats with her friends, she's got her homework. So to get her interested in it is, I got so many battles to fight. Whereas for my son, I came across this American subscription box type of coding. It's called Bits Box. He's 5. I just started it with him and he loves it. Of course, and I sit with him and do it with him, which helps. But no complaints. And then he's always asking, what else can we do? What else can we learn? What else is there? So if you start young, your future battles easily won. You know, they will naturally look for things on their own.
Yeah, and for the sake of our parents who are live with us today, or maybe those who are watching a replay, you might be wondering, hey, what if my kid is already 15 and or already 11? Does it mean that I'm too late? Well, it's never too late. As long as they're still in school, right? I mean, even if we start at 40, you can't say it's too late. And until you're 70 years old, then you say that it is still a right age to start. The thing is, we must start somewhere, right? So if it is 12 years old and you find teenagers a bit more difficult, we all know that teenagers love friends. So maybe if you can get their friends engaged or a group of them together, then they would be more engaged to join those classes. Okay, next off, we have 3 of us sharing some of the success stories of the students who has gained from enrichment classes. Okay, Mr. Amin, please share with us on this podcasting 101 story.
Hi. So the most recently, we started the Falcon program. It's a Fairview Falcon program. So it's designed to expose students to varieties of activity, and as they complete and achieve, they get badges. So it's kind of an exposure that we find keeps students motivated. It is inspired by the Scouts movement, and then we try to emulate it in a certain sense in school. Now, with this particular child, which was very interesting for me as well, is that he took the podcasting activity, which only requires 6 tasks. They have 6 different tasks for them to complete, submit, get their score for it, and get their badge, and then they move on to something else. But that, he's been trying so many, and somehow podcasting stick to him. And now he has his own podcast video, and he's doing his content as it goes. And that's what we were trying to do through the programs that we create in the school. At the same time, this is also a good example of how you never know what really going to be interesting to you until you just keep on exploring. And of course, the younger you start exploring, the more opportunities for you to try different things. And that's where the development and everything comes in. So I find this is a very good success story for me. And I believe there are a few more students who are also taking very good interest in certain other activities that we are offering. It might be a short-term interest, it might be just for the next 3 years and then they find something else interesting. But what we know is that there's something that clicked, and that click can really be something useful for them in the future. And we do not know what will be until they give it a try. So,
talking about Falcon program, I still remember when we first started off the Falcon program, which is compulsory, by the way.
Yeah.
Students are complaining like, I already have CCA, and it was this another Falcon thing that we don't have much choices. Unlike CCA, you can choose whichever you want.
Right.
But this one, there are certain areas that you have to complete to earn the badges every year. How many activities is it again in a year, Arvin?
Depending on the campuses, but in totality in the program, let's say your PYP or MYP, it can go up to 10 to 12 choices for you to take. 1 quarter, 1 choice.
Yeah, but in 1 year, they earn about 4 badges. Is that correct? Yeah. So, it's like in 1 year, you need to try either podcasting or origami or something, things that you have never thought that you would do, but you just, limited choices, right? So you have to find something to do. And amazingly, they find peace, or they find happiness in doing it. I was looking at some of the kids doing origami. I was like, what's origami? Isn't it for like little kids. And they said that it's just very calming. And I saw another group who's doing something like embroidery, and the whole group of them, they created duet with embroidery on it.
Yeah.
So it gives the kids an experience. This is a very good example of making them try, and you never know what they would get from it at the end of the day. Okay, Mr. Pramukh has some success stories to share with us too.
Yeah. Before that, I mean, it was very interesting what the points that you guys raised, but I just wanted to touch on that. Because our children, no matter how hard we try, right, they're all growing up with a device mindset.
Yeah.
And they are overloaded with information, right? So these type of activities takes their mind off that. That's why a lot of them find it calming, because suddenly they're not bombarded with stuff, right? They just focus on one thing. And the other benefit is the interest, right? So growing up, I love sports. I played football for my school, and I also did scouts. Now, of course, with WhatsApp, Facebook, we all have reconnected again. What's interesting is the sports friends only talk about, oh, Manchester United and this and that. That's it. But my scout friends, which now there's like across 30-year age gap, all have got back together because of the interests. We're all very similar. So the conversations that we have on that chat is very, and everybody jumps in, talks about things and all that because of interest. So when your kid starts doing things out of interest, they will meet other like-minded children, and that's when friendships bond, and it's a lifetime bond because they all share the same interests.
Not only that, I think their general knowledge is wider too, because they find interest in everything that they touch on. They see something, they're interested, they go and find out.
Yeah.
End up they know more than others.
Yeah. General knowledge is very important.
So what are these STEM success stories that you would like to share with us?
I thought I'll just highlight our most recent one. Because it's very American in the approach, so we call it summer holiday camps. So under Engineering for Kids, we also teach coding, and one of the programs we do is Minecraft. So it's an international franchise. So they ran an international competition, and surprisingly, well, I shouldn't say surprisingly, we were very, very proud. 2 of our kids participated in this international competition actually won. So in this case, this boy who's 12 years old, through Minecraft, he developed or designed the most green and sustainable city of the future, and he called it the City Eco Farm Park. He's only 12, and this is competing with around the world. We had another winner. The next slide, I think, would show it. Is it?
No, I only put in these 2 slides though. Yeah.
And from US, they shipped down the award, and we handed it over to the kids. So very, very interesting. I mean, this goes to show that, Malaysia boleh lah. Just because.
Yeah, and it's good exposure as well. Some kids that they think that they only get number 1, number 2, number 3 in the class, and I'm the best in the whole world. Yeah. Right? By joining all these things, they get to expose themselves and gain experience of what is happening outside, and do a little bit of a cultural exchange. Yeah. Being more international, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and for myself, I could not get in touch with my ex-student to get his consent. So I had to take a very general image and just put it over here. But the story starts when he was still in primary years, and he came over to my enrichment center. I ran a Kumon center last time, so I teach maths and English. But this particular boy came to our school and learned English. He was timid. I didn't want to, I can't mention who is he, because, I didn't get his consent, but he was timid. He was really quiet, and he's one person that when you look at him, you would not think that he would be a successful person in future, or because he couldn't even speak English. But he wanted to learn English. Amazingly, he persisted on his own. Of course, we support him as much as we can, but at the end of the day, I really think that it was his own persistence. And he moved in Kumon terms from the lowest level to the highest level until he has completed the whole English program. So, he's just not relying on his school to improve on his English. He took the move to come to an enrichment center and work on his English. And when he became a completer, his English was so good that he could just literally write 5,000 words essay in an hour or two, which is pretty easy to him because he has got himself drilled to do that already. And he himself applied into IB diploma. I didn't introduce him. He introduced me. He went in himself and he took a scholarship and he went in and he completed his diploma. And now he is in the university. This is one of a top scorer that we are talking about. And I just want to share his story because I'm very proud when I saw him again after so many years, that he transformed from a person that I thought he's just here to learn his English, to brush up, to mastering English through enrichment classes. And I think enrichment classes could help the kids to achieve what they want to achieve without following the schedule that is set by the school. Yeah, so this is just a story that I wanted to share. Okay, so now we are moving into the last section of today's talk, which is the most important. What actions can parents take now? And this will be what the parents are interested in. And we're going to talk about part one, which is the common pitfalls. Common pitfalls that the parents fall into when selecting or when deciding on enrichment classes for their kids. Mr. Amin, can you please share on this one?
Well, one of the fundamental problems I feel is not asking or listening to children what they want to try. I think this is one of the most thing that we find that even in sometimes signing up for a CCA and things like that, there are certain situations where parents give the full choice to students, but there are certain situations parents dictate the whole process. But I believe that it must be, going back to Mr. Pramukh said, being emotionally invested, to get the idea that know what their children want and let them try what they want. And then from there, you will see whether they are really keen or they're just, just saying for the sake of because their friends are there. You will, these are more like eventually we'll find out. So I guess key things that we should not do is to just assume this is what is good for them and move on with it. Rather, try to understand what they want and then give them the opportunity to try.
Yeah, talking about this point, right? Some parents may be asking, well, but the thing is, there's not much choice. For example, Falcon, it's compulsory, so you can't be asking the kids what they really want because there's just that few, right? And then they tell you that I don't want any of it. I think parents, we just need to be tacky when we speak to our kids. We are not telling them what to do, but we are telling them the consequences. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you do this, and this is what's going to happen. And you have two choices. At the end of the day, they still have a choice to make. That's how we need to present it to the kids. And it's really what they want. Although the choices are limited, 1, 2, 3, but they still get to pick which choice they want. Okay, let's look at the next point. Interest took a major role. This is connected. This is Avin's point as well. Is connected to the earlier point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next off, Mr. Pramukh.
Yes. I think another major hurdle, right, when it comes to introducing things to your kids or being open to what you're interested in, is be careful with how we react, right? The stresses of our life, the busyness and all of that can sometimes, every parent, there's no perfect parent. Every parent sometimes reacts in a way that they regret, right? So, and it's understandable. A child will have like so many questions that they'll throw at you.
Yeah.
And it might leave you mildly annoyed, right? Yet asking them to go and look for the answer themselves or asking your spouse for the answer may not be the best way to go. What we want to do is help nurture their burning curiosity, right? We want to slowly explain concepts to them. And this is where we are also lucky with technology, because Google can be your best friend,
Yep.
So when it comes to questions that stump you, instead of coming up with a story and trying to make it sound like you know what it is, right? What the answer is, admit that, okay, actually, I also am not sure, but I love to find out. Shall we do it together, right? And so the problem is if you make up stories or stop them from asking you questions or quell their interest and all that, you're not actively nurturing their inquisitive mind. Instead you're turning them off it, right?
Or indirectly showing disinterest in what they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
By holding our phone and clicking away.
You know what's the most beautiful thing? And again, this is from experience. Not only might you learn something new, if they ask you something and you don't know, right? Not only might you also learn something new, but you're actually strengthening the bond and trust with your child.
Yeah.
Doing that activity with them, right? And as for your children, they will cherish that moment. It might spark also an extra passion for them to do research, to continue learning about it. And that's what you want. You want them to be independent and go on and learn on their own, find out more on their own.
Yeah, and if you in your head you're thinking, it's easier said than done, or well, it's a long investment of time. Well, actually, no, because it's just in the formative years. When you have set that example, now my kid at 20 years old, he would come to me and say something, and then I say, I'm not sure. And then he say, let's find out. He's the one who is going to take up his phone and start Googling away. So, it's just the initial stage that we need to drill or encourage them. I also remember there were times where, after a day's work back home and the kid starts asking you lots of questions, and you don't even have the mood to pick up the phone to Google, right? So what do you do then? I would just tell them that, hey, can you give me an hour? Just give me an hour. Let me go and bathe, relax myself for a while. And then after that, I'll call the kid and, sit on my lap, come, let's do this to now. So they also learn from there that there are moments where it's good to ask. And there are also moments where it's better to give people their own personal space for a while. I mean, we are human.
True.
Even as parents, we need to have our space. And lastly, one of the common pitfalls is that the parents are signing up for every class that fits their schedule. I know parents who goes to different enrichment classes and get their schedule just to fit the time. So it's more like they're signing up for the enrichment classes so that their kids could fit in the time, it's like babysitting. So this is one of the pitfalls that parents should avoid falling into. Okay, next one. What actions can parents take now on part 2 would be conducting tests. Now, conducting tests doesn't mean just tests, but let's start off with building a base for creativity. And then conducting that test means you test the water, like what people say. You first build a foundation for the child to be creative before you allow the child to tell you whether they are not interested or they are not talented in this area. Let me just give you an example. If the kid is playing a piano and the kid could not even master the basic of sight reading a simple song, that kid cannot tell you that I have no interest in playing piano, because he hasn't even captured the foundation of playing piano. And so he can't be creative when he can't. So it's like maths as well. People say that, so there are mathematicians who could solve complicated maths questions just on the board. You will see a lot of movies, people writing on the board. You don't know what is thinking in their brain. But they need to have foundation. Like, for example, if you can't even do 5 + 5 in your head, you need to use your fingers, then there is just no chance for you to be creative. So in this case, what parents can do to conduct a test on your kid is to first give them time to build a base first, and then they can be creative, and then they can tell you whether they like it or not. I also remember when I was young, I used to play the piano at home, and my grandpa would say, I paid so much and this is how you play the piano? And I was thinking that, I just learned the song and I'm practicing the song, right? So you can't expect me to play like Tchaikovsky or Chopin. I am still learning the song. So during practice time, of course, it's not going to sound nice, but his words just resonate in my mind, and I try to hide from him when I'm practicing. So it ended up that from Monday to Saturday, I don't touch the piano at home at all, but I go to the music center on Sundays and I play there for 5 hours. I'd rather do that. So, parents, just be very careful on how you test out your kids. Don't jump to conclusion on your kid before you actually give them a chance to trial and error the activity that they are doing. And lastly, this is really test. If you are interested to find out more, and kids would love to sit down with you, you could do tests with them. And this is a really solid test, like the 16 personality test, which is connected to MBTI. They also have the simpler questions like personality questionnaire for kids. You could try out this test at home with your kids to see where their interest lies, and then select enrichment classes from there. Okay, next off, understanding expectations, Mr. Pramukh.
How to start? Okay. I guess every parent has the same concerns. They always have the same worries. Will my child be happy? Will they become successful? The surest way is by guiding them and building their confidence, right? Then you can ensure the answer to any of these worries of yours is yes. So because self-confidence comes from one's own perception of themselves, right? So it's how they see themselves in society, and their worth is often built on how capable they feel. And this can come from a variety of achievements, big or small, right? Because your child is looking to you for direction. So, and remember, your child is always watching you and your behavior. So model for them what you want your child to learn. And that's how you can manage expectations. They look at you, they look up to you, and they would want to follow what you do. Of course, they would also have interest in other things, right, which you have to support. But essentially what you want to do is to build confidence in them. So just like Michelle was saying, when her grandpa was commenting about her piano skills, instead of being able to practice every day, she crammed 1 day or 5 hours, right? When instead, if he showed her support, if he built her confidence, right? Who knows what could happen, right? She could have been the next Chopin. So yeah,
that's true.
So guide them what's also important is setting realistic goals. Let's say reading books. Every kid will say, okay, I want to read 50 books this year. Then you got to ask them, are you sure, 50 books this year means, basically 1 book a week. Are you sure you can do that? Let's set our expectations at a realistic, achievable level, right? So, and then what you got to do is also nurture independence, right? So that they can continue to do what they set out to do independently of you, right? Because you're not going to be holding their hand the rest of their life. They have to be able to learn that independence and encourage persistence. So try, test, and all of that, like Michelle was saying. Don't let them give up too soon, let them keep trying at it. I just saw this thing on YouTube. This actor, I forget his name. I just know he's married to Emily Blunt. So his mother, he told his mother he wanted to become an actor. Then the mother told him, okay, go do what you want. Give yourself 2-3 years, but you have to see yourself through. Because I won't have the heart, right, to tell you to give up on your dreams, right? Yeah. If you want to give up, it's your decision. I won't be the one to tell you to give up on your dreams. And then 2.5 years later, he called his mom. He was basically asking her to come pick him up from New York or something like that. And, he's tired of waiting tables and all that. And the mom said, you know what? It's September. Why don't you just keep going at it until end of the year? 2 weeks, After that, he landed his first comedic role in a sitcom called The Office, and now he's making big, you know. So persistence is important, and showing them the support. We also have to have the guts, lah, right, to support them with their passion. So
in the end, believing in them. I think that's the key point in many things that we want to do as well.
Yeah.
That whatever they want to do, that they can do it, and believe that we have already trained them enough or guided them enough to make that kind of call and then moving on. I believe I totally agree with that point as well.
Yeah, this is quite a number of points over here on understanding the expectations. It's a mutual understanding between the parent and the kid. And here are some of the guidelines that you can refer to when it comes to clearing the expectations with your children. All right, and the last section on what actions parents can do now is having a guide to choose the right enrichment classes for your kids. Mr. Amin, would you like to share with us, please?
Okay. So, I mean, there is not going to be one framework or one method or one simple guide for you to do this. But one of the things that we do in Fairview, and we believe by this, is the dimension of wellness. Because ultimately, that's what we want. We want our kids to be well and happy.
Yep.
We want them to be well in areas. So this dimension of wellness gives you understanding. These are the 6 different areas that the children can, you know, to promote their wellness from these areas. And there are certain things can be done through academic, but there are many that can't be done through academic routine or academic classes. And this is when they need to try exploring outside classes to see what else can I do and can lead to this particular, this different wellness that I can work on. And the concept of spiritual, people always have a misunderstanding of mindfulness. I need to sit down and meditate. And spiritual is actually big. Spiritual is very much linked to passion, and it's a lot about you having kind of a inner peace that I'm good, and you know you have that kind of calm mindset to move on. And I ultimately, I'm pretty sure everyone have heard this model Ikigai. I believe this summarizes everything, to be honest, because it is just everything that parents want or anyone wants for themselves, right? If I can find something that I love, I'm good at, and if I do, I get paid for, and the world needs it. That's basically a perfect guide. There are people like I mean, personally, my parents want me to be a doctor. And coming from an Indian background, I think that's a kind of a typical concept that, you know, you should be a doctor in a sense like that. But they're
a lawyer, right?
Doctor, lawyer, engineers, not really much choice in the end. But it was easy for my mom to, like, you know what, do what you really feel like doing. It was not that easy for my dad. It took a long time for him to come there, that like, you know what, let him try what he wants. And even in the middle of doing my education courses, he was still like, why? Education is not for men. You know, that kind of a mindset that comes about. And I think this is also something that I want to add on from part 2 just now as well, like brushing off their how when they express themselves, right? Going back to the same point as well, if you know, there's a mindset of if you're going to do cross stitch, or this is a girl's activity, or you're going to do football, that's a boy's activity. Why are you doing that? You know, the kind of again, going back at young, you already put this in their head. Even they are so good at football, they might not want to try it because they feel like they are going against the law of the society. So it comes back to this concept that I believe, how can we guide ourselves and our children is, I think the first thing is that they have to love what they want, what they are doing, and eventually they might be good at it. And if the world needs it and you get paid for it, then that's your jackpot in a sense, right? That's like, okay, that makes the most sense. But while they are exploring, there's always things that connects one to another. I strongly believe, and if you don't mind me sharing, I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs. Just his commencement speech, one I feel very connected to is that he talks about connecting the dots, and I think that's very strong. He just did a random calligraphy class when he was in university, and because of that, we have no idea why, he just liked it and he went and did it. When he was doing Pixar, if Steve Jobs never gone there, we don't have Toy Story now. So it's the kind of a concept where what you're doing now might not look very clear, like this is where it's going to be, but it might turn out something that's very interesting. I think that's what I like to see in the students that we do. And also to understand that the future, it is not a single disciplinary.
Yep.
Already a very multidisciplinary world. Now you've got engineering skill, you also need to have the creativity of a cross stitch to come up with something interesting. All right.
Yep.
Origami has been involved in engineering for very, very recently, and it's been very, very strong in putting that together. And because the fundamental of origami, the engineers have a out-of-the-box thinking mindset that propels humans forward. So I guess every time a child tries something new, I think it's a good zone for them to give it a try and set. Personally, I think this number will be varying for everybody, but for me, one of the things I told my brother, I have a brother who's 6 years younger than me, so a lot of coaching works with him. And personally, I always tell my brother is that give yourself 6 months. In 6 months, you don't like this, you just don't feel like you're moving forward at all, change. That's the kind of the mindset that I built on him and so on. And then it worked in the sense that he knows, and then he start pursuing something that he really likes. And eventually he's doing what he likes now, working on wildlife and career. So I guess that would be my personal guide, in the sense that try and look into what are the different wellness that the students can or the children can explore, and work on the model of Ikigai, wherever possible, and eventually let them try. That would be my suggestions.
Yeah, so Ikigai is a Japanese model for finding a person's purpose in life, and we have other trainings on this. We also use this as one of the coaching program under the Fairview International Schools umbrella. Yes, and the 6 dimensions of wellness, but we just want to remind the parents, don't underestimate the importance of finding a balance in all this area, because some of our kids, they are very good physically, like very good at playing golf, for example. And some parents think that it's okay as long as he's happy and he doesn't have friends, but the problem will come later. Yeah, so we have to give them an opportunity to find balance in all these 6 areas. Mr. Pramukh, you wanted to add something just now?
Yeah. It's about trying and just being open to things, right? And give it 6 months. If you find it doesn't work, you can go on and so on. I think maybe this is from my parents, what their views were imposed on me, which now I thankfully I take different, right? So you know the phrase, a jack of all trades is a master of none. Right, so there's always a fear. Oh, there's a jack of all trades, a master of none. But actually, it's actually written by William Shakespeare, right? And actually, it's longer than that. It's a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than master of one.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Right. So far from letting it deter their path, right? And a lot of entrepreneurs, like Mr. Amin was saying also, right? They swear that being a jack of all trades brings benefits, right? So being exposed to different things, experiencing different things. Down the line, you will connect the dots.
Yeah, and this is really good wake-up call to parents out there. Don't expect your child to be just good at one thing, drilling them in one area. Let them find themselves. I remember when I was in school, I used to think, why is it that I'm studying so hard, but I could never break to the top 3 position? It's always in the top 10. So I was always wondering that way. But then I try to console myself, and I realized that, hey, it's because I'm also good in other areas. And I'm also very active in school activities. So perhaps, that takes away, and I find balance in that. It gives me a kind of satisfaction, which by now, when we come out to work, we know that it's really helpful. So you don't have to be worried if your kids is not doing well, or, you're sending your kids to enrichment classes so that they can be good in one area. Not really. It's for them to explore what they want. Yeah. All right. So before we go into the question and answer sections, I just want to remind parents, just go ahead and type your question into the chat box, and we will address this as soon as I've gone through a few slides to explain on the organizer for today's event. So the organizer for today's event is Fairview International School. This is the multiple awards that we have won so far. We are the top 50 global IB school and the top IB school in Malaysia. And here are some of our successes, with 80% of our IBDP, the diploma students, receiving scholarship offers from top universities, not just universities. And then we are the top IBDP school in Malaysia for 2 years in a row. And 90% of our parents feel that communication at Fairview is frequent, delightful, and relevant. And this is some of our academic results. Besides the high score and the top scorer points, we also have a very high passing rate, like 100% for 7 years. Okay, and our uniqueness comes in the IB pedagogies that we are using. Our future-proof at FIS program, which includes the Falcon, the ES coaching program, the international expeditions, all right, and also the Everyone's a Musician program, where each of our students are given one instrument for them to pick up. So this was, they can pick up one instrument, yeah, so no forcing on this, but they have to learn one instrument and they pick up. Mr. Pramukh would be able to connect with this as well, because, you know, music is a very important element in their younger years. And here,
complex meaning.
And here are our contact details. If you would like to contact any of our campuses for more information on the school. Okay, I'm going to leave this screen over here for a while and open up for a question and answer. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and type in the chat box, and then I'll get our speakers for today to answer your questions. Okay, now you may unmute yourself.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hello. My son is interested in physics and chemistry. I encourage him to take biology, although he wasn't interested, but he took in order to please me. At first semester, he failed his biology exam. He only get 2 on his result. And then he told me that can he quit? But I kept telling him to try to continue first. He requested many times, but I'm not sure whether I should stop him, allow him to cancel, or let him try for another 6 months, as Mr. Amin say.
How is he doing for his chemistry and physics?
Average.
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 How about other subjects overall?
Overall average. Because some people say that when we support our son in other subject, then they will, like in their favorite subject, they will do marvelously in their result. So I'm not sure whether I should allow him to stop the biology or not. But because for my own personal thinking, I think biology is not, I mean, like no harm for him to try to take another subject.
Is there any reason that you want him to take biology besides just no harm trying another subject?
Knowledge. Knowledge in medicine, in medical. But he said he don't want to be a doctor. Why must he take biology? I say you're still young. Maybe you try to take first. Maybe in future you fall in love with this subject. Yeah.
How old is your
14 years old.
14.
I give you 2 minutes.
If I can suggest, it's very difficult to answer that question, right? Everybody's family dynamic is different, the circumstance is different, and so on. Take what you will from this, yeah. Yes, it's important to try, to continue to try, but it's also important to be quick to change if it's not working. So if he's average in the other subjects, especially subjects that he actually preferred to do, like chemistry and physics, right? It might be affecting his motivation, right? Being forced to do something that he's disinterested in. But you have to balance it, because if he doesn't get into it, right, well enough, get into biology well enough, and just give up like that, who's to say what he does with other things that he tries? You know, so I think it's the way you communicate with him, how you talk to him, find out a little bit more. guess maybe you're not interested, but is there something that could get him interested to just try a little bit more, right? Is it affecting your other subjects because you're doing this? So if you do drop this, if he drops it, does he have to replace it with another subject?
No, because he took all 3 subjects.
Okay. Will it help if he drops that? Will it help with his other subjects? Have the conversation with him and speak to him like an adult, and really try and get what he is thinking.
Actually, I did told him that if your chemist and physics you get 7, 8, then you can drop your biology.
So carrot and stick. That's a carrot and stick method.
I mean, my take on this, Miss Yuki, just to share. Yeah? I have two angles to look at this one. Yeah, if you allow me. So the concept of our education system, any education system, basically, they explore a lot when they're younger, and they narrow and narrow all the way up in their program. Even in my outdoor program as well, when they go to M4 and M5, we don't tell them what physical activity we give them the choice to choose what you want to do, because they have already explored enough for them to make a decision now. And the same thing I think comes from that. That's one for me, is narrowing down to something they really like. I think would be more beneficial than trying everything at that particular stage, because then it's too much to overwhelm the sense. But if you look at another angle, I'll give my brother as an example. At the stage, or around the same time as your son as well, at that time he was there, he came to me, why am I studying this and studying that? It's useless to my career. What's the point? That's the kind of conversation. And the language, I mean, after many different tries, the one that really get to him was that, well, you look at it another angle, doing this many subjects. He came from a government school. So finishing getting A's gets you scholarship. Gets you, let you do what you want to do. Wouldn't that be something that you want to give it a try? So then, somehow that got him to matriculation. Somehow from there, my dad wants him to be a vet. He hates being a vet, and he wants to do something with wildlife. And eventually, one way or another, he's now in the marine, swimming with sharks and enjoying his life, because that is what he wanted to do. I guess echoing from what Mr. Pramukh is trying to say as well is now, I feel what is the end goal, and he needs to buy in the end goal. I think that's most important, and the goal has to be realistic. If at all reducing one subject allow him to focus on the 2 other subjects because he got more time now, then I would say that go ahead with that. And also, I might be wrong on this one, because when I was 17, 18 years old, when we're deciding should I take bio or should I not take bio, many universities actually says that for you to become a doctor, the most important is chemistry and physics, not biology. That's the kind of mindset. Maybe a research can be done on this zone. I'm just sharing my experience in the past. It might be different now. That was like 10, 15 years ago. But somehow the focus is never on bio, because they feel bio is something that you can learn as you go, kind of a thing, where physics and chemistry is actually more important. So I think these are informations that to best be equipped with them, and then come to a conclusion that satisfy you and him, so that they can move forward in a much more productive manner.
Yeah, another point to take note is that the kid is already 14 years old, so he has a mind of his own, and it's not something that we could just say, just give it a try. It's no longer that much, because he has his mind. Why do I need to give it a try, right? And by saying that if you get a 7 and 8 in physics and chemistry, then you can drop your biology. Then if I am him, then I'll just focus my energy on these 2 subjects and try my best to get 7 and 8. And ignore my biology, because sooner or later that's going to be dropped out anyway. But just a note to Miss Ang, you don't have to worry if he is not taking biology either, because like what Ivan said, it's not a prerequisite for you to take a medic anymore. And it's also by learning chemistry and physics, if he's really drills into these 2 lines and he has interest in these 2 subjects, somehow it would be linked to biology, and he would be learning certain things that is biology that he feels he's interested in. I mean, so like in biology, you have 20 chapters, right? He may not be interested in everything, but there will be some parts which is connected to chemistry. How does this formula affects the human body? How do your human body work? He will go and dig out the information himself in order to master his chemistry. So you don't have to worry about getting him to make sure he has this biology in his subject, especially if he doesn't want to. And of course, he must promise you that he will do well in chemistry and physics if he drops biology. That's definite.
I think that's the same point. It's the fairness, the balance. Listen to them and then make a dream as well.
And to get the answer from him, right? I tried this approach with my kids, right? Or my daughter, she's at least old enough. So I don't ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always ask, what problems do you want to solve? So then this changes the conversation from who do I want to work for to what do I need to learn to solve that problem? And then it ties back to what Michelle was also saying, you know, if he wants to learn about chemistry because, I don't know, maybe he wants to find the cure to cancer or something, which is, he doesn't have to study medicine for that, but he needs to understand chemistry, and then he needs to know biology to understand how the body absorbs molecules and everything else like that. So try to change the tact in your conversation.
Yeah, so that's just us, three of us sharing based on our experiences. Yep. Hope that helps. Any more questions from the floor?
Miss Michelle.
Yes.
You're lagging. Can't hear you, miss. Can anyone hear her?
Not now. I think she's frozen. Sorry, Miss Ang is a bit frozen. Maybe you can type in the chat box and we would be able. Yeah, you're back online. Yep.
Yeah, no more question. I said thank you to you, Mr. Pramukh and Mr. Avindran.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're so happy to discuss this with you today. It's always nice to have a group of people together to discuss about things that has been on our mind for some time. Yep. Okay, so we've come to the end of today's session, and if you have any more questions, feel free to stay on and ask us while we are here. And for those who has other appointments for the day, thank you very much for joining us today. You may leave the room if you have no more questions. Thank you. Oh yeah.
For attending, we at Ed would like to give you a free gift. So when I introduced myself early on, I was talking about a subscription box model, and it's called the Agency of Curious Task. What we want to do is give you a free box, and together with it, a t-shirt for your child. This is for 6 to 10-year-olds, so anything in between. So all you got to do is in the chat, just type out your address, your full proper address with the postcode, and we will deliver it to you for free, including the instructions how to register and get connected and have your child experience it for free. Also include your handphone, so I can send you the selection of the t-shirts, and let your child choose which t-shirt, and then we'll have that included in the box.
Mr. Pramukh, I'm so sorry. Some of them have left the room. So if I could email to them and ask them to reply to claim their freebie, courtesy of Mr. Pramukh.
No problem.
I'm gonna claim a t-shirt for myself too. So the next time we have this event, 3 of us can be wearing the same shirt.
Ayo, but it's all child sizes lah, so.
Oh yeah, it won't fit both of you, but it would still fit me, yeah.
Lucky you.
Okay. Yep. So Miss Yuki, I will get your details after this for the freebie that Mr. Mr. Pramukh, you mentioned just now child size up to what age? Just to make sure.
So this is for 6 to 10-year-olds. So all I need is the address, the address so we can deliver the box, and a handphone so we can send them the what you call the t-shirts, and also for delivery, the delivery logistics people need their handphone to be able to confirm the delivery.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gift that our audience could enjoy.
No problem.
Thanks. So, okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank
Have
you.
a good weekend and stay safe.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Pramukh. But my son is that 12 and 14. But
Oh.
anyway, thank you for the offering.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Maybe the 12-year-old would still want to play the box.
I'll keep you in mind. We're developing something for the family to enjoy together.
Oh,
But
nice.
I think we're 6 months away before we can launch it. Hopefully 1st April.
Okay.
Okay, nice meeting you, Miss Ang.
It's nice meeting you all. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.